Welcome to the up and down matches. We are in Group A here. We had a very sudden and recent announcement given to us that because of IEM, Younghwa will not be playing today, so we have, in fact, a 4-person group.
Yep, indeed we do, and that also changed the match order. Of course, originally we were supposed to start things off with Stefano versus Younghwa, but now we have our first match going to be Trust versus Lure. It also affects the map order just in general. In total today we will have 6 games, in case there's no tiebreaker. Of course, everyone is basically, the group is being played as if Younghwa wasn't present. Everyone gets a 1-0 victory. Yeah, accumulates the same thing.
Exactly. A lot of people asked about that. Color and I having a laugh earlier. Some people are asking, does that mean that everybody who plays against him gets a win? Or does it mean that there's only a 4-person group?
Yeah, so it is exactly the same issue. It's not a GSL up and down system that we currently have like in Code S. It's only a round-robin group stage. So today in our first group we have 4 players, and GOM already did change the schedule a little bit. We have an earlier session today so that Stefano and also Younghwa could actually make it, play here, and then go to IM. I'm not quite sure why exactly Younghwa now
He may have had some flight issues or something like that.
I know that he plays earlier than Stefano does at IEM, but I'm not quite sure. Maybe there was a problem with the flight, as you already said. He couldn't make it in time. Whatever the reason is, he's not playing today. Stefano, on the other hand, he will play later on. I just confirmed it this morning with his coach, so everything is going to be fine. And yeah, this means we have a very, very small group.
Yeah, a very small group, and this makes it very... it's trimmed down. It's very straight up what we're going to see today. And here are our Code S players for Season 2 by race. Right now we have 6 Terrans, 4 Processes, and 10 Zergs surrounded up. So you can see the Protoss is a little bit too... it's kind of the low margin right now. So for those Protoss fans, you really got to be cheering for the Process here in the up and downs.
Yeah, the Protoss players are definitely in a minority, but we have really, really strong Protoss players in the GSL just in general. And we're going to find out what exactly is going to happen today. We have a lot of Protoss players. We have, of course, 1 Terran with Marine King, and then we also have Stefano as the sole Zerg player in his group.
Yep. And, of course, here are the up and down race distributions, by the way. 11 Terrans, 9 Pross, and 8 Zergs. Even though Pross is being only 4 in Code S currently, 9 of them have the possibility of getting out of these up and down groups. And look at those players. Avenge, Lure, Hero, Killer, even Flying, Creator, and Rain, and Trust. Younghwa withdrawing will, unfortunately for him, have to play in Code A again next season, where he could actually fall out.
There we have them once again, all of them lined up. Younghwa, as mentioned, is not playing today. In case he just tuned in, he forfeited his spot because of his trip to IEM. But we have a really strong lineup nonetheless. Of course, really good for Stefano here. So he has a bit of a better chance of getting out of this group now.
Yeah. I have to say, I really like the new graphic, and I think that it just kind of lays out the players in a very simple manner. I really like that it shows the win rates. Look at Marine King, 77 wins and 52 losses. This player has been around a long time. He's got so much experience, and he's always kind of been in flux as of late. In between Code A and Code S, he's never been able to have that even top finish. He hasn't been able to go to Code S Finals in forever.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I'm a little bit sad that Younghwa actually withdrew. He was one of those players that everyone expected to do really well in today's group. If not get one of the first top seeds, then at least be able to claim like 3rd or make it a really close finish. But in the end, he decided not to come to the up and downs, even though the time was already preponed a little bit to make it easier for him and Stefano to go to the foreign tournament. But I think he probably got an earlier flight, and Stefano is able to make it, but Younghwa just couldn't.
I have to say I'm very pleased that the schedule was changed, because I think it's, you know, maybe Lore not so much, but...
It's very early in the morning, guys.
It is
11 a.m. here.
On a personal level, since I live so far away from our current studio, it was a bit of an annoyance, but I can bear it, because you know it's more important for the players to be able to play these matches.
Yeah, for me same. Atos and I were scheduled to go to the gym today at 10 a.m. and then when I realized that we had the games a lot earlier than usual, I had to go at like 7:30. He didn't really want to wake up at that time, so he was like, that's alright, I'm gonna go later. But yeah, for the players, it's awesome, and I'm really happy that GOM always shows that they are willing to change their schedule to make it a little bit better for the players. But let's get ready with game number 1. We have a Protoss versus Protoss. We are in Belcher, Vestige. We have Lure versus Trust here at the GSL. Up and downs with Calvin. Starting to the bottom right of the map is now our CJ Enters player in red. This is
CJ 엔투스 트러스트.
Trust. And no CJ Entis jacket today. His opponent to the top left for MVP, former OGS player, he is
MVP 루어.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that he doesn't have a CJ Enters jacket. I was really surprised, and I would like to know what exactly that means, because especially the Casper teams are usually they pay a lot of attention to those details, to like making sure the players have their proper equipment and have all their gear as well. So for a second when I saw him in the booth, I was like wondering if he actually left the team. I don't really think that happened, but it's a little bit weird.
I had the similar thought in the makeup room when I saw him wearing the GSL jacket, which is usually worn by fans who buy it on the store, which you can find available at GOMTV.net, or teamless players. So I've noticed a lot of Kessel players recently in Pro League using GOMTV hardware. For example, the GSL mouse. I've seen that a few times, and I'm like, that's weird, but I think it's possible CJ Entis may be playing in Pro League today. I do not know Pro League's schedule for this week, but maybe they needed the jerseys for that. I don't know.
Maybe he just spilled some coffee.
It's also possible, yeah. We don't know, but it was an interesting thought. Both players going for early double gas here before core, so no build order differentiation so far.
Well, if you just look at the statistics for this matchup, of course, really important to note is that we are in the up and downs right now, and the most crucial thing about the up and downs is that you only play best of 1 matches against your opponent. You know the maps in advance, you can prepare accordingly, but you have to make sure, of course, that you have a good variety of strategies, especially when you play in a group where you have to hit certain races several times. Lure is the player who definitely gets more exposure than Trust, I feel. He has a 77% win ratio with 13 games played, and if you go down his match history, then you see that most of the games in the recent preliminaries he actually was able to win. And when he played in the Code A qualifier, he took down Protoss opponents like Deer, Beach, and also tested out with a 2-0, which we saw play in GSTL a little bit earlier this month. And on the other hand, then you have Trust, and Trust didn't only play a couple of Code A games so far.
Trust, not too many games played. This is his first time. Lure, in his first season of Code A, actually went for like only cannon rushes in PvP, if I remember correctly. It was kind of a long time ago. But Twilight Council is Lure's. It's going to be the build he's facing. And he has not shown his tech just yet. He's going for double gates, wants to get those stalkers out to make sure he can chase any scout away and then put a little bit of pressure on. And he also goes Twilight Council.
If you actually look at what Trust did in Code A, I mean, he lost, of course. He lost to Yoda. He lost in the second round, but losing to Yoda is really something that... It's an experience that he shares with a lot of other players.
Yes.
Yoda is a pretty tough opponent, and Trust was able to take out Genius in the first round, and that's something that we should not forget here. He didn't even drop a single map against the Yazubu player. Yeah. So right now, both of them with the PvP in a really good matchup, and wow, we actually have a Dark Shrine being played now for Trust instead of going into Blink.
Yeah, and this is going to be a big problem for Trust himself, because Lure is going for Blink Stalker Observer play, so he's going to have Observers out and we'll be able to detect these. The question is, does he make 2 Observers, and how does he control his Observers exactly? Because if he only makes 1 sensor across the map, the DTs could do some serious damage before he can get the second one out. Also, does he hit a force field on the ramp? All these factors.
If you are up against an opponent that plays Dark Templars and you yourself have a robotics facility with the Observer, if you just look at the build orders, then you're always at an advantage. But as Wolf already pointed out, if you just don't pay attention for a second, don't see them come up the ramp, suddenly they're on your main base, maybe you lose the sentry, you have no options of getting a force field up to stop the second wave, suddenly everything could go down. And maybe even your one robotics gets unpowered and you don't have an option of getting additional observers out onto the map. So this could be really stressful.
It's disastrous if that happens, you know, and it's always one of the most frustrating things you can feel when you go Blink Stalker Observer, because you know you had the safety, you just couldn't quite utilize it. He's considering making another Observer. You can see him select the robotics a few times there, but he decides not to.
And the Observer is now on its way, while we have the first TIE Templar, well, Dark Templars being warped in, and he goes straight for his opponent's main base. He can also defend with those, at least for a little bit. The Observer is with the army, and there is no way for him to stop it. But oh my god, look at this! We suddenly have Lure blinking forward and taking all these units unaware. Trust is losing so much, lost all the sentries. Can he do the damage that he needs to deal with the one Dark Templar in the main base?
This one pylon is the ultimate Artosis pylon. It's going to empower everything, including the core, all of the gateways, and no additional pylons being morphed right now. He's microing visibly at home. Thing is, he can't use DTs to defend at home because the Observer's with the army.
He's going to lose the robotics facility. Well, there's no question about it. 3 DTs in the main base, he's probably going to lose a lot more.
Yeah, this is going to basically become a base trade. What Trust needs to do now, I feel, is get his own robo up before his core is down to try to snipe the Observer. But I don't think he has enough gas. Because once he kills all these probes, then eventually it's just going to be DTs against Blink Stalkers with an Observer. The only way he can win this game is if he can kill Lure's Observer.
He can't. He doesn't have any anti-air units. The only thing that he has, and there it is, GG by Trust, as he realizes that he might be able to draw the game out a little bit, but he will not be able to win.
Yeah, that was a funny situation there, but Lure takes the win. And always the robotics player will have an advantage when you come into this situation.
Yeah, Lure really well played here. The really big problem for Trust was just he didn't have detection on his own, he couldn't see his opponent's Observer, and even if he would have had one Observer, he didn't have the Stalkers to snipe the Observer, and that's what he has to do, because as long as the Observer is on the map, Lure will be able to take down those Dark Templars eventually.
I think he probably expected Phoenix play, because, you know, if you go Phoenixes and you don't have detection, then the DTs are going to be a problem because he did a DT expand. It wasn't just like some sort of weird DT into Archon. So he had the DTs to kind of give him map control. Then he had a Nexus. If your opponent goes Phoenixes, you're still going to have more pros than them if you chrono well on both your next side. Then you can also go comfortably into Charge Zealot Archon afterwards. So I think that was probably what he was thinking there.
Well, Trust wins the first game, actually leaves the first game, and Lure is now leading the group with a 1-0 victory. Keep in mind, this is a 4-player group as Yonghwa decided to forfeit his spot and go to IEM instead. Stefano is playing, he actually has the next match, and it's going to be a game that we've seen already several times. It was also the final of the ESWC 2011. It is going to be Stefano versus Marine King.
It's going to be pretty awesome. I'm excited for this one.
That's actually my personal highlight of the day.
Yeah, mine as well. You know, by the way, with only 6 matches now, with 4 people in the group, that means every match is more important than it was before because you have less wiggle room. You don't have that other player that maybe you loses to somebody else, then you have a tie situation. So it's really important to win every single match. Losing even one match means you might not be able to get out.
Exactly. So Stefano, he really has to show something now in this game against Marine King. Well, in the last games that we've seen him play, he didn't look too strong. Actually, he lost against Flying, and that was a game where I really thought he would be able to take it. Flying played really well especially on map number 3, Belcher Vestige. But the first game on Daybreak was a little bit weird because Stefano just did not build any detection and lost. And well, we're gonna jump into a short commercial break, and then we're gonna find out if Stefano today can best Marine King and get out of this group. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in a few.